That's okay.
That's okay for you?
That's okay. Yeah, yeah, definitely. You have, so the rule is 20 minutes maximum for each speaker. I would like also to say hello to all of you, but also to the audience following us online. So 20 minutes maximum, and 5 minutes before the end, I say something, just a message to advise. So I leave the floor to Philippe Hamman from the University of Strasbourg.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, I will speak this afternoon about renewable energy implementation, and more precisely farm anaerobic digestion through a lexicometric analysis of the daily press in France. Well, first of all, what are we talking about? I aim to shed light on agricultural anaerobic digestion to examine the dialectic between the challenges of energy transition and of ecological transition, considering local actors and processes. So, in a nutshell, anaerobic digestion refers to a natural process by which organic matter is broken down in the absence of oxygen. And this process can be technically controlled through the use of anaerobic digester systems. So on the one hand, anaerobic digesters can be fed a diversity of inputs as household and community waste, sludge, and first and foremost, agricultural residues, crop residues as well as animal manure, but also some crops as maize that can be grown specifically for anaerobic digestion. Then, in the second step, this process produces, on the one hand, biogas, and on the other hand, the digestate. Biogas is, of course, a carbon-free renewable energy, which is valued for its contribution to the energy transition. And on the other side, the digestate can be spread on farmland as a fertilizer, but its use is controversial due to its environmental impact, especially the contamination, or better, the risk of contamination of groundwater, where drinking water is pumped for a whole territory. So the research project MetaTip I am speaking about this afternoon was selected for support by the French CNRS to the University of Strasbourg, and I am responsible for. And its aim is to reconsider together three main types of issues and controversies. Firstly, there are issues linked to the processes involved. It depends on the organization of the technical and economic actors and industries. There are big and smaller players, for instance. It depends on the technologies, as I mentioned before, from feeding the digesters to biogas distribution and digestate spreading. There is the issue of the coexistence of food farming and energy farming. And then there are, of course, environmental concerns and ecological impacts issues. Second, there are issues linked to the multiplicity of interacting scales. On site, of course, because there are different types of biogas plants. On the one hand, cogeneration plants, which produce both heat and electricity on site. And on the other side, injection plants, I mean plants injecting the biogas into existing distribution networks. Another issue of scaling deals with local protest movement on the different territories around the digesters against those installations. And of course, we have to take care on the national legal framework and European energy targets. Thirdly, there are current debates with agroecology about the right way to ensure, on the one hand, food security, so to produce enough, and on the other side, take into account ecological principles. There are also issues about professional agricultural identities, as I mentioned before, food production and or energy production. And there is the issue of the share of anaerobic digestion in the energy mix and its role in future scenario. In particular, we know that biogas production has increased 12-fold during the last years, and it is foreseen that it will also increase 10-fold until 2050. So if you are interested to know more about those issues, let I mention this written book I have written with some colleagues from Strasbourg. And what is important for this presentation this afternoon is the fact that, according to me, the materiality of anaerobic digestion, as mentioned in this context, raise issue of co-visibility. And one strategy has been to make the infrastructure less conspicuous in the territory, for instance, to paint biogas plants in green. That's what you can see on the slide. On the top, for instance, a classic biogas plant, and on the bottom, biogas plants painted in green. Hence, many discussions, especially in social sciences and in sociology, have centered on the issue of acceptability by assuming protest and controversy as a kind of preformative frame. And to my mind, that's an important point to go beyond. So our aim in this project, Metatip, is to let the material speak for itself, so not to start from such a preformative frame. And that's why we use a broad sample of daily newspapers, both national ones for France and regional ones for the Grand Est region, through a lexicometric approach. So concretely, we built two press corpora, a national one, France, and a regional one, Grand Est, using the online databases Europress and Factiva in particular, and I wish to thank my colleagues Sophie Henk and Manon Laborde for their help. And we use the free software IAMUTEC, which counts on the one side occurrences of terms, I mean frequencies, and on the other side measure co-occurrences, I mean proximity between the terms. And this requires lemmatization of the corpora, so grouping together the different forms of the same words, for instance, singular and plural. And I want to thank my colleague Céline Monicol for her help. And we do that for a 5-year period. So now, if we move to the main results, there are 3 main steps: statistical analysis, similarity analysis, and lexical analysis. So first, statistical analysis. Based on the first active forms in the 2 corpora in frequency, so the most frequent words, if you want, and you can see they are more or less the same words in both corpora, national and regional word, that's the shaded word, as you can see. Based on these most active forms, farm anaerobic digestion appears to be mainly considered in the daily press, firstly, as a project to be implemented, and secondly, in terms of its aim, I mean biogas production. Conversely, there are almost no terms related to environmental concerns. Second, if we switch to similarity analysis in order to define different universes of meaning, so as you can see on this slide, it's more or less about clustering words. The result is more or less the same for both corpora. So we are 3 main universes of the project to be implemented, the farm, and biogas production. The other clusters are much less significant. So in both corpora, there is in fact little signs of the resistance, which would give credence to the students on social acceptability, precisely because there is no overall mention of environmental concerns. And it's the same in our third step, through lexical analysis using a top-down hierarchical classification. So you can see the dendrogram for the corpus France. This dendrogram makes visible universes of meaning that are both consistent, so within the same class 1 through 3, 4, and interconnected, because the classification tree connects classes together, as you can see, class 1 and 4, class 2 and 3. And it's more or less the same if we consider the dendrogram for the corpus Grand Est. You have class 4 on its own, and then class 1 to 3 that are interrelated. So the general structure is similar in both cases. We have two main blocks. A first block has to do with the scale at which anaerobic digestion is being considered and implemented, so the territorial dimension. And a second block is concerned with the anaerobic digestion process itself, from its inputs to its outputs. So we have two main aspects to be considered. First, anaerobic digestion seen as a process, the techniques, the input-output chain. And second, anaerobic digestion seen as a project regarding energy transition and mostly implemented by farmers. So far, rather than controversies or social issues, the press language points to an informative register precisely because environmental concerns, again, seem to be relatively ignored. So, in a matter of conclusion, there is a significant gap between the use of language related to the energy transition and to the ecological transition in discourse legitimizing anaerobic digestion projects in France. So the issue, as reported in the daily press, and as I mentioned, it's true for national press and for regional newspapers, the issue is mainly framed in sociocentric terms. I mean the relations between agriculture and energy, and of course, local development, economic viability, and so on. There is far less interest in the ecological dimension, environmental quality or pollution, footprint, ecological footprint, and so on. And this diverges from the actual call for a shift to new ruralities to go beyond agricultural food production. So far, it has remained more or less exclusively centered around the objective of energy production. So in line with the current agricultural production model indeed, and it doesn't go broader to account really economic interdependencies. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Philippe, for the nice presentation and for the time as well. Thank you very much. So we will go now for the second presentation of this session. That is Mélanie Michel from University of Applied Sciences Technikum at Wien.
Yes, hello. I will quickly share my screen.
So on the bottom, you can see partager. Below, there's share. You click on it. Then, okay. Yeah, definitely, that's good.
Perfect.
And then if you have your PowerPoint open, you can show us.
Can you see this right now? Because I have it open.
No.
Oh, maybe not. No. Oh. Wait. I think there's...
Okay, so when you share, you have to select entire screen.
I think no.
Okay.
Does it?
Now,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can go to diapositive mode, slide mode.
On my screen, it's in slide mode, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. In show.
Okay.
To show it.
Is it working?
Not yet.
Because I'm not sure how
one.
to...
Okay.
I'm not sure, because on my screen it's in the presentation
Did you
mode.
select entire screen when you were sharing?
Oh God.
Just you go. Okay,
Hmm,
you click on share, please.
yes.
So then on the right, on the top, you can see entire screen normally.
Because I get a message from oh God, from Firefox that I need to oh, okay, wait, I think now I have it.
Okay.
Does this work?
Okay, that works.
Okay, oh
What
God,
was the trouble? So that we can
yeah, I clicked on the PowerPoint instead of full screen. So
Okay,
yeah,
thank you
okay,
for the
so
good practices sharing.
oh God, I'm very sorry about that.
No problem.
Anyway.
Okay, so now
Anyways.
we go. So it is 15. You have 20 minutes maximum.
Yes,
You can go.
perfect.
Thank you very
Hello,
much.
everyone. My name is Mélanie Michel, and I'm here today to present the paper I worked on together with my colleague Frédéric Edvine on the transformative power of energy communities in the context of the users project. So a bit of background on the project. We want to investigate the role of communal and social aspects within Austrian energy communities and what importance they have to current members or future members. Because the Renewable Energy Directive requires energy communities to not only focus on financial aspects, but also integrate social, environmental, or other community-based benefits. But we found out through literature that as of now, the communal aspects are a bit neglected and the financial aspects are definitely prioritized. So yeah, in general, our goal was to find out if energy communities live up to the expectations people have of them. Exactly, yes. So our project is divided into research questions. So the first one is based on how they perceive energy communities and what benefits do they expect and what benefits they actually felt like they received through being part of the community. And the second part focused on community, what it meant to them, and how it shaped their participation within energy communities. Exactly, we wanted to find out if it has an importance or what the potential there is to kind of expand this broader societal or community impact. So here's an overview of the methodology we used. We used a mixed methods approach, which means that the first research question was resolved through a quantitative survey, which was anonymous, and we gathered responses over 4 months. And we did this via NEOM, an Austrian company. I will explain more or give more insights on NEOM in the next slide. And overall, we had 127 respondents that were already energy community members through NEOM company, and 60 that were clients of NEOM, but were only interested in becoming potential energy community members. And the second part of the project was based on qualitative interviews. So for now, we have done 5 online interviews within NEOM, but we hope that we can gather some more interviewees from outside of the NEOM company, because we do believe that will have also a significant impact on the final outcome. Okay, so NEOM is an Austrian company, as I mentioned, and they focus on sustainable energy systems. So they offer different products or services based on producing, storing, and managing sustainable energy sources. And Club is their digital application where they facilitate joining an energy community and also trading surplus energy within that energy community. And you can either be producer or just a consumer within the energy community, or you can do both if you want to. So what we found out is that the members or the current members of the energy communities are quite homogeneous. So there's definitely a lack of diversity when it comes to membership. And this is also very much in line with current literature results. So most of participants are male, of higher education level and higher income levels, who also mostly have their own house or apartment. So this maybe suggests that energy communities promote themselves as being more inclusive than they actually are, or that the information and education campaigns are not reaching the broader society, so that it only reaches a certain part of the population that is very interested in technology or has this affinity for sustainability and sustainable energy systems. And we also saw a bit of an imbalance when it comes to participation, because we had far more consumers than prosumers, so who produced and consumed at once. Exactly. And when it came to the age differentiation, we also see that most of them are middle-aged, which also is in line with current research results from other researchers. And when it comes to motivation for participation, and also what is seen as the biggest advantages, came to no surprise that the focus was on financial aspects. Exactly, we did expect that, and even the part on regionality can be linked to financial aspects, so creating economic benefits for the closer region that the energy community operates in. Exactly, and what I found interesting is that an advantage that is also important is community spirit, which is not so in line with the next results that I will present, but it's interesting that it was that high up. And when it comes to social goals, we noticed that, as mentioned, the focus was definitely on creating regional value, on creating financial benefits, and the social goals were rather in the background or didn't have that great of an impact for participation. Exactly. But what they mentioned is that they wanted this feeling of community. So there's definitely this need or desire for more interaction within the community, which would also promote a greater societal or communal benefits. Which is also in line with, or what I thought was interesting is that some members mentioned that they also changed their behavior when it came to joining the energy community. So it had an impact in shifting their electricity usage, which kind of hints at the broader societal impacts of energy communities. And we concluded here that we can reframe the societal or social and communal purpose of energy communities through regionality. So I think many people are maybe misinformed or don't have the grasp of what it means to have those societal or community aspects or benefits. So we could reframe that through saying that it contributes to the regional economy and regional well-being. Exactly. So here's again insights into that people want more interaction within the energy community, and that social impact is also gaining in importance. And some of them mentioned that they wanted a chat feature in the Club app, because right now you can just trade energy and you know how many members are part of the energy communities, but you can't actually contact the other members due to, I guess, privacy issues. And other proposed elements were information evenings, just coming together as a community to discuss the purpose and the goals of this energy community. And when it came to reduced tariffs, the reactions were very mixed and definitely met with a lot of skepticism. This is linked to probably also a lack of information, or also this fear of missing out on something. The notion of fairness was brought up a lot. So what it means to be fair, what is fair, who has access to those tariffs. And interestingly, knowing the other energy communities members didn't impact the way the respondents felt towards reduced tariffs. Exactly. Let's move on to the second research question now. So as I mentioned, the goal of the qualitative interviews was to get a better understanding of what the members mean by community and what community benefits they perceive right now, so that we can pinpoint the untapped potential when it comes to energy communities and how they can have a broader impact that goes above and beyond financial or ecological impacts. So here's an overview of the interviewees. So most of them were producers, and one of them was just a consumer, and most of them also just recently joined an energy community via the club function. So the first issue that was brought up by the members was the problem of anonymity. In general, there was no feeling of community since everything works through this application. They felt like they just had to trust NEOM, that they were sending out the correct information regarding the energy community member number. So that was all the information they had, and they don't even know who is actually a consumer, producer, or prosumer. So that really hinders the members from feeling like they are part of a community. They know that they are contributing to something greater and something that also has an environmental impact, but it is far from feeling like a community. And this is also in line with the quantitative questionnaire that we sent out before. And when it comes to community building, as mentioned, there are no initiatives right now to really strengthen that element, and they wish that, or at least the most basic element that could be added to the app would be a chat feature, so that we can discuss questions, discuss topics like social tariffs, open questions, and share tips so that they can improve the sense of community. And also maybe introducing a meeting once a year so that we can strengthen the sense of belonging, and that we go above this thing that an energy community is just transactional, and so that we really set this social aspect in energy communities. Yes. The topic of social tariffs was also an interesting one. The element of fairness came up a lot. So where do we start with tariffs? Who has access to them and who doesn't? How do we define vulnerability? So there needs to be careful handling when it comes to introducing social tariffs, so that we avoid this perception of unfairness, because I guess it comes through due to a lack of communication and misinformation, that people are afraid that other people take advantage of the system, and financial measures like social tariffs. But most of them explained that they were generally for social tariffs, but that they would just expect there to be a certain transparency and openness regarding who has access to them. And interestingly, here they believe that if they know who the reduced tariffs go to, they would be more pro-social tariffs. But some of them even went further and thought that it would be nice to also implement a charity element to energy communities so that we give out a certain amount of electricity for free for either vulnerable people or institutions like schools or other communal buildings. And in general, there was this sentiment that energy communities have a great potential to have a greater communal and also greater societal impact. So some of them said that we could reinvest profits and really create this local value through supporting local projects, building infrastructure, or even investing in a shared energy storage system for the community, which I believe would also create a sense of belonging.
Just to say, 5 minutes left, Mélanie.
Okay, thank you. And yes, in general, the people believe that that energy communities have a greater societal impact due to its ecological impact in just being part of transformational change. And when it comes to the future outlook, most of the respondents believed that energy communities will play a bigger role in the future, but that this greatly depends on how we implement this community aspect in energy communities. So we need to really strengthen this sense of belonging and community so that energy communities are well established in our society. And some of them also mentioned that this could also be linked to a lack of information, that the participation is still quite low because some people don't know that they can just join as a pure consumer, that you don't need any PV solar system on your roof. So in general, as a conclusion, I can say that as of now, the primary reason for joining ECs is unfortunately still cost savings, but on the other side, also sustainability, and members desire more transparency and definitely more engagement to strengthen the sense of community. And what NEOM right now has with the app that is very anonymous limits this sense of community. Exactly. And when it comes to implementing reduced tariffs, we need clearness on fairness and who receives access to which tariffs. So in general, we need more information and sensibilization initiatives and really get this discussion started surrounding community, what community means, and also how we can implement or include other population groups in the sustainable energy transition. That's all from my side. Thank you for your time.
Thanks to you, Mélanie, for your presentation as well. And the time, it's always hard to keep the time on record, but I had to do so. Sorry about that, but it's the rule. So we will go for the next presentation from Cyril Tjahja. I don't know if I pronounce well, Cyril. Sorry about that for the pronunciation if I'm mispronouncing. The floor is yours. So the same than previously, 20 minutes maximum. For the sharing, it's okay?
I'm trying my best now. I think he's sharing everything now. So
okay.
Let me, this one. Yes, can you see my screen correctly? It's okay now?
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, because I cannot see you, so but I'll just...
No, that's the rule, basically. I didn't precise it, but it's like this. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
But we see you, no problem.
Okay, that's great.
You can go for it.
Okay, thanks. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cyril Tjahja. Today I'd like to present some of the research I've done in the project Making City, which is one part of it, which was to explore the possibilities that design, and in particular transmedia storytelling as a method, can help in the energy transition. So very quickly about myself, I'm currently assistant professor of design cultures at the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam, which means Vrije University of Amsterdam, not free of charge, but free as in Protestant. And formerly I was a postdoc researcher, but also the project leader of the Making City project at the University of Applied Sciences in Groningen. And that's actually where I conducted the research where what this presentation is about. That was a couple of years ago already. So very briefly about the background of the project. It's Making City, which is a Horizon 2020 project funded by the European Commission. And very shortly, it's about the construction of exploring the possibility of constructing positive energy districts. Perhaps some of you already know what it is, but in very simplified form, and I'm not doing the official definition justice, but it's districts that produce more energy, so they produce surplus energy that they can use for other things, and they use more than they consume. And in the ideal situation, this could be distributed to for other means. So in the project there's 8 cities, of which 2 are lighthouse cities, Groningen in the Netherlands, where I worked, and Oulu in Finland. And what that means is that the findings and activities and interventions that we do in these 2 cities should be replicated in 6 so-called follower cities, which are located in other parts of Europe, such as Leon in Spain, Bassano del Grappa in Italy, Lublin, Poland, Trenčín in Slovakia, Vidin in Bulgaria, and Kadıköy in Turkey. Yeah, and we're not doing this by ourselves. We collaborate with 34 main partners, which include municipalities, universities, research institutes, but also commercial parties such as housing corporations, energy companies, and also even a building contractor. And in Groningen in particular, there's 2 universities who worked on it, which was my former university, but also the University of Groningen, the municipality, and also other parties such as local energy initiatives, research associations, and all kind of different local parties, such as Waarborg and Nijeste, which are housing corporations, and also the multinational CGI, which is all the IT infrastructure, and also a couple of partners who specifically were aimed at energy, like the New Energy Coalition and sustainable buildings. So to very briefly to give you an overview what happened in Groningen, where I worked, we had 2 positive energy districts, or tentative districts. One in the north in a neighborhood called Paddenpoel, which was more like a social housing area, which is just south of the campus of the 2 universities. And on the other one you can see is in the south, which is a very different type of neighborhood. It was Europa Park, and that's mainly has a lot of industrial buildings, a lot of offices, and I would say a bit more middle to high income people. So they're not social tenants. And within these buildings, neighborhoods, there was a couple of buildings that we did some interventions, like put in PV panels or have some demo houses, and it's particularly the north. But in the south, there was also a couple of interventions that they experimented, I think, with a solar bicycle path. So each of the districts, they have all kind of different interventions that we did in the project. But our piece, or let's say what we did at the University, we were mostly focused on the social part of the energy transition, and in particular what design can do in this sense. And that's also because my background is in design, and so that's why I steered it a little bit towards that. So in practice, that meant that researchers and students, we collaborated with all kind of local energy initiatives in Groningen, and try to see, okay, what is it what they need, and what can we offer them, and what do we need from them. So we always try to do it in some kind of reciprocal way, so we're not coming there to take. And maybe it's also interesting to mention that Groningen, because it's a relatively small city, and there's 2 universities there, so there's quite a bit of how to say it, research fatigue, as we call it, that the citizens are very tired of all the students and their teachers always doing research, and they always tell us, what are you coming for now? We don't want to feel like doing any survey. This is another entire other story, but it's also to sketch the background a bit. So that's why for us it was very important to be able to work in close collaboration with the local initiatives, because they are basically from the neighborhood itself, and they are also often the gatekeepers of these neighborhoods. So to do research, we collaborated with students from various disciplines. As you can see here, Energy for Society, which is a master's course, which is the focus not only the technical, but it's a mix of the technical and the social part of energy studies, but also real estate, psychology, design, and other faculties as well. And how it worked is that the students have their own individual project, and often this is either their internship or their final project. But together we also try to do it that they also contribute to the larger studies that we, the researchers, were interested in. One part of it is 3 social research studies, which we conducted a couple of years ago in around 1.5 years during the pandemic, which was quite difficult, in 3 different neighborhoods in Groningen, one of which was the positive energy district in North Paddepoel. And we did surveys. I noticed that one of them is missing, but they had similar respondents, around 100, between 50 and 100 respondents. I think there was about 200 plus respondents. And we also had interviews with different types of stakeholders, like students, homeowners, people from the municipality, but also people from local energy initiatives on a variety of topics. So a selection of the findings, and these are the findings. There was a lot of things that came out of it, but the things that are relevant for this paper in particular, which is about transmedia storytelling, which I will explain in a bit, is that they felt that there was insufficient communication and awareness about the energy transition, and that came from both the residents, but also the municipality and the energy initiatives, that we interviewed. In particular, the communication with the municipality about the energy transition was problematic, and people are very, feel that they don't feel very much informed or not very engaged by the municipality itself. And one particular thing that came up very often was the language barrier. And if you're familiar maybe with Groningen, then you might know it's a university city. This university, so there's a lot of international students, staff, but there's also a lot of people with a migrant background. So it's not a super big city, but it's quite an international city. And things that we often heard from the people that we interviewed, the residents, is that who are international, they said, well, we often see things that come by flyers and communications, but it's in Holland Dutch, so we don't feel we don't understand it. So then we just figured this is not for us. There's also some demographic and contextual barriers. People reported that there is difficulty engaging tenants and landlords, and this is particularly from the local energy initiative sides, and also that the tenants themselves, and this also from both sides, there's quite a lack of incentive to do anything, because of course, especially if you're a social tenant, then what is the incentive for you to do anything on sustainability or energy sustainability, because it's not for you anyway. And what we also heard from the students, who are also very rarely involved, is that they're afraid that the landlord will then raise the prices if they do any kind of modification, or that they accidentally damage something. So it's also ties in with the lack of communication, but not necessarily between the municipality, but more between students and their landlords, and also the awareness of the landlords or incentive of the landlords and the students to participate. And what was interesting is that the students, they do want to participate, and they're very interested in the energy transition. Unlike the stereotype is that they are not interested, young people are not interested in any way, because they have other priorities. We found that the students are actually interested, but they are not incentivized, and they're also not addressed by local energy initiatives, nor the municipality. And something that is very local of Groningen, maybe in other cities as well in Europe, is that there's a dislike of the top-down approach and a dislike of the municipality in general. And this also has to do that in Groningen there's a lot of controversy around the natural gas exploitation there, which causes earthquakes, and the government has really handled it very not very well. And that's why anything that comes from the government has some kind of a bad aftertaste. So they're thinking, what are they coming up with now? And finally, that the energy initiative activities are aimed at a specific type of residents. And I think that Mélanie also mentioned this, and this is also what we found in Groningen, that they are often homeowners, financially well off, older, like middle age. So they're very specific kind of residents, and also the meetings that we, the researcher and the students we visited, they were exactly this type of audience, and there were very few other types of people there. And what it boils down to is the activities are not appealing at all to other groups of residents, such as students, such as landlords, such as people with migrant background, and they have no incentive to visit or to engage with these initiatives or communities at all. So we thought that, okay, maybe what can we do about this? How can we engage the people who are often not involved, or how can we help local energy initiatives to, engage a wider broad of audience? And we thought that transmedia storytelling might be one way of doing this. So for you, those who are not familiar with the term, transmedia storytelling is basically disseminating a certain narrative or a message or a campaign, and ideally each part contributes to the whole message in the unique way. As you can see, it can be via music, via websites, via film, via apps, photography, print, games, whatever, which is not exactly the same as cross-media, which is basically the same message or narrative, which is what most advertising campaigns do, and then you just slightly adapt it to different media. So the whole idea is that you have different narratives or different parts of the narrative for different types of residents, specifically appealing to their specific needs or interests, and then you try to use the unique characteristic of the medium that you're using to its maximum, so to say. So it's not just replicating everything and more or less the same, but really using the specific medium and its strengths to address a certain type of audience. And the idea is that you do this in an overarching way. So it's not like you do one main medium and the others are afterthought, but you have a plan for all the media all at once. So you have an entire transmedia strategy, so to say. So a couple of examples, very shortly. Some of the transmedia exercises are often the ones that are in movies or media, such as Star Wars. That's of course from the movie, but you also have games, you have board games, you have books, you have comics, everything. Harry Potter, of course, as well, which has similar things. A very early example, I don't know if anyone is old enough to remember Dawson's Creek, beginning of the 2000s. And that was a very early example of transmedia. You had the TV series on TV. There was no Netflix yet. But there was also a website where you supposedly could log into Dawson, which is the main character's desktop, and then you could see all kind of things that were happening actually on the other things in the background, which you don't see in the series explicitly, but then you could follow basically an alternate storyline. And also similar, a bit more contemporary is Lost, also based on the series, of course, but there was also games and also and the books and all other kinds of media that are associated with it that are all distributing a part of the narrative. But the whole idea behind this that you cannot get the whole story by only following one medium. So if you follow the series or see the movies, you don't get the whole picture. You have to see other things as well in order to find out what is going on through everything, through the whole story world, so to say. So how does this translate to the energy transition? So our idea, as I mentioned, was to have different narratives or different parts of the narrative for different types of residents, which appeal to the specific interests or needs, and also using the appropriate media for this. So for this, we engaged the students of the Communication Media Design Department, who actually also have a subject called transmedia storying, where they do just that, which was very convenient for us. So we did 2 semesters in which we did 2 batches of 4 groups of students, so 8 in total. And we collaborated with a local initiative, Wijkbureau Paddenpoel, which is in the northern pet district of the project, to see what they come up with. So the briefing that we gave is design a transmedia campaign, which has all kind of different media or artifacts that they're called. And it's specifically aimed at activating these difficult to reach audiences. So, in order to convince them to participate in turning their own neighborhood into a positive energy district. And what we mentioned is also that you should target at least 2 of the following groups: social housing tenants, private tenants, and students, either local or international. So these are the people they're often deemed to be very difficult to reach or don't really engage in these kind of activities. So we're very curious what you came up with, and I'll give two.
Cyril, just about to say 4 minutes late.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I'll give two examples, very short. One of them is Samen Duurzaam in Paddenpoel, meaning sustainable together in Paddenpoel, which is aimed at students and social housing tenants. The students did literature and field research, and their idea is to increase the social cohesion and also to increase the residents' willingness to do social sustainable measures in their own houses. For that, they developed printed media app and escape room. You can see an example here. You see the poster here which says, "Are you willing to give the other the hand for a better future?" And the other one is a mobile app called Padden People, which is a wordplay on the neighborhood called Paddenpoel, and then made it Padden People, which is a funny pun in Dutch, which is a community app. But the most interesting part is actually the escape room. That's actually to make the residents aware of the energy transition in a playful way, and then they have all kind of puzzles in the escape room. If you're familiar with the concept, there's a room that you have to devise a way to escape, and then there's all kind of playful puzzles. And by that, they try to do it in a playful way that people, especially younger people, are more aware of the importance of participating in the energy transition. Second one, Groenhuske, which means little greenhouse in the Groninger dialect, aimed at tenants, social and private. They also did literature field research, but also focus groups. And also this one was to increase, the goal was to increase social cohesion. But they had a bonus, which was to create an actual physical meeting event space in order to bring the different groups of residents together. And then they also developed a kind of different types of artifacts, which I'll show here, Instagram for the young people. Websites and poster for, say, 30 plus, and e-zine also for 30 plus. I think the poster, and also there was a magazine or newspaper ad, is for people who are older than that who read a lot of printed media. And animation you can see already shows like a preview, which is basically a glass house, or a greenhouse, sorry. A greenhouse, which is a physical space in the neighborhood where people can organize all kinds of activities. They made a little moon board of it. Unfortunately, there's no real mock-up of it, but it's just a space that symbolizes the energy transition, the green and the greenhouse, etc., and then a playful way for community space. So concluding, this is the last slide already. The presentation was attended by the municipality and the neighborhood residents. You can see the presentation slide there. The presentation photo there. It was very positively received by stakeholders. However, there was a couple of points that are important, is that a couple of issues that because we didn't supervise the students directly, we only could give indirect feedback to the students, and it would perhaps be better to be able to directly give feedback on them. And of course, the funding, they really liked it, but okay, it always boils down to who's going to pay for it. So the next step is hopefully we can execute this in real life. We're currently trying to get funding for it, but it seems very promising. One step at least is taken, that the neighborhood initiatives or the local energy initiatives like it very much, and the municipality likes it. So yeah, always the eternal problem, how we're going to get the money, but we're going to work on that. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cyril. And thank you also for the time, as I said previously as well. Thank you. So now we will go for the next one from Christos, if I remember. Yeah, if I remember well. So Christos Kontzinos from National Technical University of Athens.
Yes, hello. Let me just...
Perfect.
Great. So let me also hide this. Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Christos Kontzinos, and I am a researcher in the Decision Support Systems Lab of the National Technical University of Athens. Today, I will present to you a publication entitled An Overview of CBDCs and their Potential Role in the Green Economy. The publication was written in the context of the research project Fortesy, which aims to combine renovation packages and digital services towards the EU sustainability goals for greener buildings. These are the contents of my presentation, so let's start with a few words about the scope of the publication. In recent years, there has been a discussion around the use and establishment of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs as I will call them from now on, in the global economy. This development comes as a result of the reduction in the use of physical currencies towards digital solutions. So this paper examines the reasons why central banks are aiming to introduce CBDCs into the economy, as well as the ways in which the use of CBDCs could contribute to the transition to the green economy. A bit of background now. CBDCs, as I said, are a relatively recent financial innovation that has drawn major scientific interest. Despite that fact, the research bibliography lacks a uniform and universally accepted definition of the term, other than the well-accepted fact that they consist of a digital representation of a physical currency that is issued by a central bank. According to a report from the CPMI, CBDCs can be defined as a digital form of money which is issued by the central bank and is different from deposits in reserve or settlement accounts. In other words, it is an obligation of the central bank expressed in an existing accounting unit, which serves both as a medium of exchange and as a means of storing value. So this is the main and more holistic definition that exists right now, and the other definitions basically say the same thing. Now, let's move on to the taxonomy. There are two distinct types of CBDCs that can be issued by a central bank: general purpose or retail CBDCs and wholesale CBDCs. General purpose CBDCs are further divided into two categories that depend on whether the issued currency is based on tokens or bank accounts. Wholesale CBDCs, on the other hand, are always based on tokens. To make a distinction between the two types of general purpose CBDCs, it should be explained that tokens are a representation of either physical or digital currency, and their value is set by the central bank that issues them. They are accessed and validated through the use of private and public keys, similar to cryptocurrencies, thus allowing users to perform anonymous transactions if they so choose. Account-based CBDCs, on the other hand, are based on central bank accounts and require a user's digital identification to be accessed. Real-life applications of CBDCs are few, but more and more are being developed and piloted by several countries. Over here, you can see the Atlantic Council CBDC tracker. That is a useful tool visualizing the latest news in the domain. According to it, as of the time of presenting this publication, 3 countries have officially launched CBDCs. 36 are in the pilot stage, 30 are in development, and 44 are in early research stages. This increased interest in the usefulness of CBDCs is apparent also by the fact that 19 out of the G20 countries are in advanced stages of CBDC experimentation. Over here, you can see a table with a bibliographic review that we performed, and then the keywords and the number of articles that were generated. Something that I should note here is that in every search, so for example, in CBDC technological background, we quickly found out that, for example, blockchain is the main technology that is being employed to develop CBDCs. So then we added some blockchain keywords to add on the number of articles. I will not stay more in this slide. Instead, I would like to move on and discuss the evolution of CBDCs in the EU. Following that, the importance of CBDCs in the green economy. In the EU, there are many current initiatives for the development of a digital euro, mostly to meet the demands of industrial stakeholders who require more effective payment systems. There are also discussions about issuing this digital euro as a CBDC, as it could provide an infrastructure similar to the single euro payment area, or SEPA as we know it, that could facilitate transactions and payments in retail and e-shops. In addition, a European digital currency would facilitate the transition from physical to secure digital payments, given that transaction security would be guaranteed by the central bank. It is believed that the digital euro could support the economic objectives of the EU by providing citizens with a strong alternative to a secure form of payment, which also an alternative for fast and efficient payments, which as of now are largely offered by non-EU service providers. At the same time, an improperly designed digital euro could have negative implications for financial stability by lowering the demand for bank deposits or private banks. Now, predicting the impact of a digital euro in the EU poses significant challenges due to the uncertainty surrounding its demand from EU citizens, its design characteristics, and the political, social, economic, and technological conditions that will be present in the EU. This uncertainty is magnified by the fact that there have been no real-life applications of CBDCs by any country of the EU, or even by advanced economical nations outside of the EU, which makes data availability scarce at best. Concerning user privacy and protection of personal data, which is very important in the concept of any solution developed in the EU, there are two different options that are being investigated. One solution envisages that data privacy and transaction security could be ensured through the categorization of transactions and payments based on risk and value. As such, customers, after their initial identification in the system, would enjoy a greater level of privacy for low-value payments if they so choose. On the other hand, for transactions of larger value and risk, the technological properties of the CBDC would allow for greater visibility and accountability. An offline mode option is also being examined, as it would allow greater personal data protection for low-value payments, such as cash payments that require the user's physical presence. In practice, this means that customers would be the only ones to know their account information. In addition, a CBDC offline mode would be beneficial to the people who live in remote areas without access to smart devices and fast internet connections, which is also a disadvantage of online payment systems in general. Moving on to a potential application of CBDCs in the green economy. An innovative application of them could be to target specific private green investments. CBDCs could be used to facilitate investments and donations to green projects without the need to involve intermediaries, the presence of which increases transaction cost. In that way, investors would ensure that the entirety of their donation would feed into the green economy. Furthermore, it has been observed that it is a common phenomenon for workers who are employed in businesses, mainly in the circular economy, to be paid in physical currency, most likely because they do not have a personal bank account. This phenomenon is most common in developing and low-income countries and prohibits informal workers from being a part of the national banking system. If these countries adopted CBDCs and developed a national CBDC digital wallet, employers would be able to pay the wages of informal workers in CBDCs, even if they do not have a personal bank account, bringing forth many advantages, the main one being that informal workers would be part of the banking system. In addition, CBDCs can be used as a means of offering financial assistance to businesses operating or investing in the green economy and which face financial problems. The use of CBDCs can create a direct link between businesses and the central bank, facilitating direct lending and avoiding traditional credit institutions and unnecessary bureaucracy. In this light, the CBDC can give businesses the opportunity to request financial assistance from the central bank, as well as more favorable conditions. Although this may not be a convincing enough argument for the importance of a CBDC for green economy businesses, it should be emphasized that green and circular businesses try to maximize their positive environmental impact instead of their profits. In practice, this means that such businesses might face an inability to pay high-interest loans or even be considered eligible to get them. The connection between a CBDC and the green economy depends mainly on its design, the objectives that each central bank has set to fulfill by adopting it, as well as on its effect on the financial transaction carried out in the context of the green economy. The final slide for CBDCs in the green economy. CBDCs could be developed to provide incentives to businesses or individuals to lead them to actions that promote the green economy. For example, reduced consumption targets, energy consumption targets, could be set when drawing up electricity supply contracts by creating a ratio between the energy saved, or the CO2 emissions saved, and the green digital euros corresponding to it. Subsequently, the specific CBDCs could, as an option, be used by citizens to redeem on the next electricity consumption bill in the form of a discount. These options could be set out in an electricity contract and exercised automatically through properly designed smart contracts that would also alleviate any potential overhead required by the electricity companies. Another option as an incentive could be their cashing out for energy upgrading works on the residence renovations. The application of this measure could be extended to any other form of green investment with parallel additional discounts from the companies to which they will be addressed. Therefore, it will be necessary to create an entire ecosystem involving governments, banks, investors, and companies under the supervision of the European Union that will promote the use of green CBDCs through such initiatives and actions and facilitate both their adoption by citizens in their daily lives, as well as the transition to the green economy. To conclude, CBDC offers a digital infrastructure that can revolutionize financial transactions, promoting efficiency and transparency in resource allocation. Leveraging blockchain technology and smart contracts, CBDC systems can ensure greater accountability in directing funds towards green initiatives and renewable energy projects, thereby enhancing the effectiveness of sustainability efforts. Through targeted monetary policies and digital payment mechanisms, CBDC can encourage individuals and businesses to allocate funds towards renewable energy projects and eco-friendly initiatives, thus accelerating the transition to a low-carbon economy. In addition to promoting financial inclusion and innovation, CBDCs can democratize access to green investments, particularly for underserved communities and individuals in developing regions. By providing a secure and accessible digital payment infrastructure, CBDCs can facilitate microtransactions and peer-to-peer lending for green initiatives, thus fostering greater participation in the green economy. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, I would be glad to.
Thank you very much, Christos. For the questions, we will do at the end of the session.
Okay, yes.
But thank you again for your presentation. So now the floor will be, sorry about that, to Tarja Makelainen, VTT Technical Research Center of Finland.
Yes, thank you. So let's hope I can share. This is the most difficult one.
We all managed to do so. So we are doing it together. Don't worry.
Entire screen.
Exactly.
This one. Share.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, here is the presentation. Can you see?
Slide mode. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Great. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very difficult. Okay.
Yeah, that's the magic we was talking about Harry Potter. It's the magics of the IT system from time to time.
Yeah. So good afternoon from my side, and greetings from Finland. My title today is to talk about the qualification frameworks and around BIM and life cycle management and wider in sustainability topics. BIM here means the building information modeling or management, but really the focus is on people and competent people. And then how do I change the slides? That's a question.
Don't you, on your PowerPoint, you managed to, okay.
No, it was just slow, the connections maybe, yeah. So there has been two EU projects tackling about BIM and energy efficiency competencies, and ongoing project called Accord, which also tackles about one BIM use case, namely automating the building permitting and compliance. Most of my material is from BIMIT and Instruc projects. This is really slow. Yes, the slides are not responding so well.
Maybe we can try again to go out and to try to.
Okay. To share once more. And is it very bad if I show in this mode, because it at least shows the slides?
So first of all, if you can share again the entire screen.
Okay. Here. Share. Yeah, it's not working very well.
Okay, when you're sharing, do you manage to
yes,
click on share?
Maybe.
Okay,
can you see now?
I think so. It's better if you can, but if you think it's working like this, let's try like this.
Yeah. I think it's going better. Yeah.
All speakers, you seeing as well?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's go back to the content. Sorry for the hassle. So today we can do BIM. We can do this building information management and modeling on building processes. But the question is that do we know how well we do it? Are we good, excellent? Do we do mistakes? We don't really know that. And therefore, it's important to talk about knowledge, competencies, skills, and try to understand how we could work with them. Here, there's a so-called framework BIM Diamond, which introduces BIM as an instrument, and it has all these 4 elements, maybe more, but at least there is a reason. There is a kind of a business reason for information. There are processes, there are technologies, and there are people. And for a successful implementation, the maturity level of all these elements needs to be very good. And how you then develop all of these elements, you develop the intersections between them. For instance, all this, how you use the BIM usages, if you use it for LCA or energy efficiency, that's one usage. It should be support your business model. And then there is a way how you develop standard-based. It's very well known that there are a lot of standards for the open BIM data flow, the technologies, the tools, they rely on certain standardization. But also there is some standard approach around the competencies, how you work with the competence requirements. Very important for BIM implementation. There's a research looking for different papers around BIM implementation, and from 27 enablers, 14 was related to capabilities and competencies. So that's a remarkable share. Also, policy strategies are around these issues more or less. There are some policies and work like build up skills directly to competencies, and some standardization work, especially CEN/TC 442 building information modeling workshop working on competencies, and they will produce a technical specification for competency frameworks. There is also very many programs, national level competence programs, and 2 major big certification systems, namely BIM E-initiative and then Building Smart Professional Certification Program. So there are some ways already to tackle with BIM competencies, but the message is maybe that are they implemented enough? competence frameworks and qualification frameworks, there is a slight differences between these two. Mostly competence frameworks, they go to the content. They list what you need to know, what are your skills, what is your knowledge, what is your competence. And the qualification frameworks always also enable assessment. So this is my introduction part. So the content of this presentation is there are three sections coming. First, a little bit about this learning outcome frameworks from bottom up, that what they are, how you can structure them. Then I have a few usage scenarios of the BIM competence framework, and if we have time, then also define learning outcome from teaching professionals, like one step higher than competence frameworks for disciplines, which is most often done. So terminology, competence, that's an important to define. There are also researchers who say that it's not possible to define in details and like really till the end what it actually means. But an easy way is and how it's been defined in standard, that competence is ability to apply knowledge and skills to achieve intended results. And results here meaning to fulfillment of required tasks. Learning outcomes are then categorized in knowledge, skills, and competencies, and qualifications. They capture a bigger part of learning outcomes. So how does a learning outcome matrix look like? This is one example from the BIMIT project. Here we were structuring these matrices in a way that they were role-based. There was a table for client and client advisors. There are some topical areas highlighted in the area of BIM and energy efficiency, and a little wider also sustainable building, and then the main learning outcome, and then some sub outcomes, and then the target level for different roles were also defined. So this is one way to do it. There are also other ways, which is quite important from the point of view of development. For instance, between these two EU projects, BIMIT and Instruc, there is already some differences in listing the learning outcomes. In BIMIT, the whole framework was very wide. Actually, like the whole sustainable and digital construction topics widely covered, and then also the sentences, the learning outcome sentences were not having any demand levels of the competence, but we were using EQF numbering for the target level. But in Instruct, there was already under the learning outcome areas itself something like advanced knowledge, highly specialized knowledge. So there are different. My point is only that there are different approaches to structuring competency frameworks. One example here is also from IBIMI initiative from Italy. They focus first to the BIM and BEM building energy modeling workflow, and then translate the needed competence just accordingly to each task. So that is also one approach. Here, what I already mentioned about it was the BIMED learning outcome, quite a wide content, sustainable construction, performance-based processes, collaborative process, and the core how you work with BIM processes and energy efficiency. One thing is also when you define in competency framework, you define skills, knowledge, and experiences, like how you can apply skills and knowledge. Very hard to measure is the knowledge part, so that gives some extra challenge. And to summarize some ways how the ways of setting up competence level is that, for instance, in this FIC guidance, they have profiled the professional role of quantity surveyors as level 1, 2, and 3. That is very convenient and often used in national level certification systems. In BMEET Instruct, we were using as I showed the example, learning outcomes, and then EQFs, and then there is also ways to have the competence level following each task of role and discipline. There is one nice thing in working with these learning outcomes is that you can already, when composing the sentence, you can choose your verb in the way that it also relies to the competence level needed. You can define that if the person needs to apply something, analyze, or create, there is also then like an embedded way to define the competency level. Otherwise, this European qualification framework works quite fine in defining the levels. Then I move on to show you some usage scenarios, because there has to be some meaning in all of this. When you have your great learning outcome framework, maybe in an open database, then you can use it for different reasons. You can even manage the competence development. You can structure the many things and find, for instance, courses with help of learning outcome structure.
Sorry, Tarja, just a word. You have still 5 to 6 minutes.
Yep, no problem. I have here a few examples about e-learning and learning outcomes for procurement and continuous education courses. There are some details in the slides, but I go to the main points. In BMEET project, 2 e-learning courses were developed, and the other one, for instance, the BIM for energy efficiency, was a blended learning course, and it was using directly these learning outcome matrices, what learner is able to explain, what its learner is able to prove or implement, or really able to prove the skills in using BIM-based design software. And in the area of BIM and energy, there are so many different software, so that is an important area. Another example coming from Metropolia, which is a school for applied sciences, they were using this approach to their continuous development courses, training courses for different disciplines, in a way that they had the BIM competence sets defined in knowledge, skills, and competencies, and also the user and organization-centered approach, and were able to have a kind of an harmonized set of courses in a way. What is shown outside is that what the learner is going to what the capabilities are after the course, but inside in the school they work with these learning outcomes to develop the courses. And then quickly, my last example is that how you can use the competency framework in skills verification methods during procurement process. This was identified in Instruct project, that there are a lot of methods to competence verification. You can use a professional team or company level method. There are general methods and procurement type project specific methods. And when you add learning outcome-based assessment, then you can, for example, do a method in a way that you, as a client, set up the minimum competence targets, and then the service providers identify their capabilities and tick the competencies like self-estimation. So you can get to a very deep level of competencies, minimum levels for the project and for an expert role to procure. So a kind of a dialogue there about competencies could be very well used for a specific experts for the project. Then I also have a competence framework for teaching professionals. There is another layer. There's nothing more, but another layer in there. I only show this slide, that a teacher, of course, needs to know the substance of the course. In this case, it was automated code compliance checking, but also she or he needs to know how to set up the course or a program using learning outcomes, and even develop national qualification schemes and update it. So there are many other layers in the teachers and developers learning outcome. I end my presentation to a vision picture that tomorrow we hopefully talk BIM in a better way. We procure BIM, we design BIM, and we do BIM as we do today, and even more, and we teach more BIM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tarja. Okay, so we will go now for the last presentation from Melda Karademir from Demir Energy.
Thank you. Let me share my screen.
So entire screen.
Can you see it?
Yes. Do you manage to put the slide mode? Maybe we'll check if it's working.
I'm slide mode, but...
No, I mean to show for the people from beginning maybe, or...
Sorry.
Yeah. No, okay. Come back to share, please. Sorry. Select entire screen.
Is it okay?
No, we don't see anything.
Okay, I'm
just
sorry.
before, like, no, don't worry. So at the end of your screen, you see share. Okay, perfect. That's cool. Yeah, that's the point. You can click on this part. Is it working? No, on our side, no, but for you?
It's okay for me.
No, we cannot see. If you try from the very beginning, on the top of the screen, maybe at left, you have from beginning. Let's try it. No.
Is it working now?
No. Okay, but when you share, you're doing entire screen, Melda?
Okay.
When you share, you have on the right. Yeah, that's the point. Okay. Okay. That's cool. Perfect.
Okay. Sorry for that. Hello, everyone. I'm Melda Karademir. I'm an environmental engineer, and I completed my master and PhD degrees on urban and regional planning. For the 5 years, I've been working as a sustainability consultant at Energy Consulting. As Energy, we are one of the partner of Valbest project, which is the Horizon 2020 project on energy poverty and public health. Today, I would like to give some information about replication and upscaling methodology for reducing energy poverty. Energy poverty refers to unhealthy living conditions as a direct negative impact on welfare. The fact that energy poverty depends on many factors necessitates the need for a comprehensive analysis of this issue. We are developing a replication and upscaling methodology as the Energy within the scope of the Horizon 2020 project, Valbest to reduce energy poverty. Within this methodology, the design of the solution catalog, which will be useful for studies on reducing energy poverty, is detailed. The solution catalog aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the challenges pilots may face prior to implementation and the barriers encountering during the execution of their actions. Its purpose is to offer practical solutions that can assist other pilots engaged in or considering similar projects. The actions are categorized within the 4 layers specified in the socio-ecological model of social determinants of health. The first layer is individual lifestyle factors. The second one is social and community networks. The third one, living and work and conditions. And the last one, general socio-economic, cultural, and environmental conditions. On this slide, you can see the socio-ecological model that Green and Whitehead defined the model in 1991. Based on the socio-ecological model and the realistic assessment approach, the study formulates a solution catalog to allow other research efforts to leverage the identified actions aimed to reducing energy poverty and its effects on the health and well-being of citizens. The steps followed to develop the solution catalog are identify the study area, identify actions to reduce energy poverty in study area, identify the political, economic, social, technical, environmental, legal barriers and facilitating factors that may be encountering prior to implementation of the identified actions. The other one is identify the political, economic, social, technical, environmental, legal barriers and facilitators to the implementation of the identified actions. Elaboration of the solutions developed for barriers in the study area. And the last one is design a solution catalog for actions that benefit other studies. This table presents the actions identified within the 4 layers of the socio-ecological model as part of the Valbest project. Layer 1 includes actions such as social energy audits, energy debt support, and the distribution of energy toolkits, and so on. Layer 2 features actions related to energy efficiency training and community meetings. Layer 3 focuses on home renovations and the installation of smart meters. And the last one is addresses policy recommendations. These actions aim to effectively tackle energy poverty and its impact. The slide presents the contents of the solution catalog. It highlights planned sub-actions for each activity, identifies relevant stakeholders, and outlines key performance indicators. This information is essential for obtaining a comprehensive understanding of the project and the actions being implemented in the pilot city. Following the solution catalog, information is provided about the risks that may be encountered before and during the implementation of each action. Along with proposed solutions, if these risks are identified before the action is implemented, it becomes possible to develop solutions that can lead to more successful execution of the action. Therefore, it's particularly important to detail these risks after the action has been defined. The solution catalog also outlines the political, economic, social, cultural, technical, and legal barriers and facilitators encountering during the implementation of the actions. Workshops were held in the pilot city to address these aspects. The first workshop focused on the barriers and facilitators that might be encountered before the actions are implemented, while the second aimed to gather information about this phase after most actions has been completed. Additionally, contributions were collected regarding any recommendations related to the actions from pilots in other projects. Once the project is finished, the actions identified to reduce energy poverty will be compiled into a detailed report with recommendation for other pilot cities. For the summary of barriers and facilitators identified at solution catalog, the summary of the barriers for the layer 1. For the layer 1 audits, social barriers include the reduced practical knowledge from remote consulting, while cultural barriers involve the difficulty of meeting people and legal issues related to land ownership for construction. For audits, having local government support politically, providing information during energy inspections culturally, and facilitating the implementation of actions environmentally have been helpful for the pilots. And in layer 1, actions such as empowerment and training interventions and actions face social barriers, including the household's resistance to engaging in additional activities. Politically, the support provided by local governments for these initiatives is recognized as a facilitating factor. Legally, the availability of supportive programs for energy efficiency is also identified as a facilitator for the actions. In layer 2, which includes actions related to community and group activities, economic barriers are primarily due to inflation. Socially, a key barrier is the lack of interest from participants in carrying out the actions. Culturally, it's not that the practice of openly sharing personal station is not common. And in this layer, political support for data protection and privacy, the presence of facilitators during action implementation, and the use of an appropriate communication style for participants have all contributed to making the implementation of the actions easier. For the layer 3, concerning home renovations, the economic barrier identified is the increase in rent resulting from the interventions. Social renovations make it difficult for residents to socialize. Culturally, a barrier is the lack of language clarity between technicians and household members. Regarding home renovations, the local government's approach to achieving carbon neutrality by 2030, including the carbonization.
So she will have an internet trouble. Let's wait for some minutes. I'm going to write her as well.
I could ask one short question. I don't know if you can or if you know, Mélanie, you introduced a very interesting piece of software. Do you know that if there are other ones? This was in Vienna, I think. But
that's a very good question. That is definitely not my field of expertise when it comes to technology. I'm more of the social science, part of the social science aspect. I'm not sure actually, because for me that was also a very new concept, that you just have this app and it connects you to other people and everything is very automized, and also the billing system is very automized. So people just have to sign up basically, and everything else is taken care of, which also kind of contributes to this element of feeling disconnected and not having this sense of being part of something. But unfortunately, I'm not aware of any other companies offering these services.
okay, thanks.
No worries.
To have some questions. One question basically to support us. So do you come back to end your presentation?
Yes, please.
So remember, share the screen, and when you click on share, you have to select entire screen.
What was the last slide you saw? I don't know.
I don't know the slide really. You were about 13 minutes presenting. That's for sure for the account, but I don't remember the slide.
Okay. Maybe this one.
I think it was that one.
That could be, yeah, layer 2, WP, yeah.
Okay. Sorry for that. In layer 2, which includes actions related to community and group activities, economic barriers are primarily due to inflation. Socially, a key barrier is the lack of interest from participants in carrying out actions. Culturally, it's not that the practice of openly sharing personal stations is not common. And in this slide, political support for data protection and privacy, the presence of facilitators during action implementation, and the use of an appropriate communication style for participants have all contributed to making implementation of the actions easier. In layer 3, concerning home renovations, the economic barrier identified is the increase in rent resulting from the interventions. Socially, the renovations make it difficult for residents to socialize. Culturally, a barrier is the lack of language clarity between technicians and household households. Regarding home renovations, the local government's approach to achieving carbon neutrality by 2030, including decarbonizing the existing housing stock and improving energy efficiency, facilitates the implementation of these actions. So, finally, during this process, workshops with pilot studies, focus meetings with other project coordinators with the urban health cluster, and discussions with relevant stakeholders were conducted to enhance the content. With the help of the solution catalog, it's anticipated the pilots involved in other projects related to energy poverty and public health will be able to implement their actions more effectively, addressing the challenges they encounter during implementation. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So you are nearly at the end, basically. Okay. We are nearly at the end. Do you want some minutes for some question between each other? Or it's okay for everybody for tonight? No questions. So thank you very much to all you and precise full presentations. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your efforts also to respect every time the time. So I was pleased to chair the session. I recommend you to continue networking through B2Match application. You know that the platform is useful. You have all profiles and details. I saw also exchanges in the chat, so that's perfect. I wish you really fruitful collaboration, and it will be a pleasure for me with R2M to see you again. Have a good night, and thank you once again.